Ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely interesting. So the market tanked today, and President Trump's approval rating soars among Republicans. So let's just get to the approval rating. Trump's standing rises among Republicans. The Hill, January 27, 2021. Former President Trump's standing among Republicans has improved since leaving office, with about half of GOP respondents indicating in a new poll they'd like to see him play a significant role in the party's future. I believe it has to be more than half. 50% of Republican voters polled in the new Morning Consult survey said Trump should play a major role in the party, an increase of 9 percentage points since the events the other week, several weeks back. Women drove the uptick with a 15-point surge among likely GOP female voters who say they wish to see Trump as a key player in the party's future. Wednesday's survey also found that 81% of Republicans have positive views of Trump, so I think that's actually a lot higher than 81%, with more than half saying they hold strong feelings on the issue. On the night before his second impeachment, who cares? He can be impeached like 30 times from now until 2024. If he decides to run again, he will obliterate any competition and be the nominee again. And, well, I'll leave it at that. President Trump hopefully will do one of two things. He will hopefully run again, or he'll start a third party, which would be fantastic. Or a political party that holds the Republican Party accountable. And I had the same vantage point when I was on the left also. But here, on the night before his second impeachment by the 17% of Republicans say they viewed him favorably. So, it's a lot more than 81% approval rating among Republicans, and it's a lot more than 50% in my view. You have 90, not just 92% negative media coverage the past 4 years, but you've had virtually nonstop, apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, fanatical media coverage against Trump. I mean, Fox News barely defends President Trump, and still you have, according to this poll, 80% plus of the Republican Party. It's a lot closer to 90%. And if media did its job and didn't try to push an ideological viewpoint, which is what almost 60% of Americans feel when polled about the media, if it was just objective the way it always... There was a time, like 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, when Dan Rather, about 16, 17 years ago, Dan Rather reported on a news story that was false, fake, pertaining to Bush. He lost his job, okay? Those were days when if you reported on a news... And Bush wasn't as popular. He had favorable media coverage generally. Up until the end of his administration. Because of what took place at the beginning of his administration. But if you had anything similar to media coverage of Bush and President Obama, you'd have a far greater number of people supporting President Trump, not just within the Republican Party, throughout the country. Trump is like running a 40-yard dash. He's been, and some of it is his doing as well, because, he could have toned down a little bit of the tweets and the insults. That should have happened, but he's running a 40-yard dash with a 100-pound backpack, and still running a 4.4 in the 40. So it's pretty good. You look, and it's like they've thrown everything at him, including the kitchen sink, Trump, Russia, Facebook ads, all of these fantasies, these tinfoil hat fantasies, and he still comes out, even as getting impeached a second time. Nobody cares in the Republican Party. Conservatives don't care. People who aren't lifelong conservative. I'm not a lifelong conservative. I was a lifelong Democrat. So... And I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I used to be the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I voted for President Trump, and I think Trump was a great president because of his accomplishments, which were plentiful. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. 3 in 10 Republicans also said in the new poll they would prefer to join a Patriot Party if it were led by Trump, with 25% saying they would be undecided in such a scenario. So, that too is probably more than 30% I mean, President Trump is going to be a major force, a major factor within the Republican Party. 2022, you're going to see primaries. You're going to see the Rhino or Never Trumpers primaried out of existence politically. I'm talking about political existence. And they'll face primaries. You will have more Republicans like Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Ron DeSantis, who's a governor of Florida. But you'll have more Republicans like Devin Nunes, people who actually don't care about what the media thinks. Media now is an extension of the Democratic Party. So you have, just like with, there's tremendous, ladies and gentlemen, tremendous political influence that can be derived from being the opposition political party, okay? You get a sense of, you get a greater, there's greater political influence in many respects from being the party that's not in power. Democrats have all of government now. Already the left isn't happy, and people on the left shouldn't be happy. They're not going to implement Medicare for all. They're not going to implement a Green New Deal legislation. They're not going to implement universal basic income. The policies that Democrats champion make the far left just kind of fall asleep and yawn. They don't care about those policies. They want their own policies. They want Green Party laws and legislation. That's not what the Democrats are about. So they're facing obstacles now on the left. You could see this with Medicare for all, but you have a very interesting scenario. So Wall Street tanked today, 600 points. Dow drops more than 600 points for its worst day since October. S&P 500 goes red for the year. U.S. stocks fell sharply on Wednesday amid disappointing earnings, while concern about heightened speculative trading activity deepened. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 633.87 points. So it was down 633 points in Biden's America. Oh my God. And then you have Robert Reich. I'm not on Twitter. I would urge everyone to delete your Twitter account. I've been telling you for 2 years. I haven't been on Twitter for 2 years. And I'm doing segments now all the time on how Twitter is tanking as a company. Because it is. But on Twitter, you could just see Robert Reich stated, you type in stock market and you can see it on just from the Google search. It's not like I searched it on Twitter. It's like, oh, now's a good time to realize that the stock market is not the economy. It's like, yes, very good. What a great rebuttal to, I mean, you wouldn't be saying this if it was Trump, you wouldn't be saying this. If Trump was presiding over this, Robert Reich, and I think if you could look back at things that he stated, when the stock market did tank, it was, oh my God, here's a lesson to be learned. And so now you see what's going on. They quickly change their tune when it's a Democrat in office. But the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 633.87 points for its worst day since October 28th. The S&P 500 dropped 2.6%. Slipping from a record high and suffering its biggest drop in 3 months. Okay, the tech-heavy NASDAQ slid 2.6% as well. Okay, so the really, really interesting thing is each time the market tanks, people will look at Biden. People will say, oh, President Biden's presiding over this. Even though media will say, it's not his fault, it's not his fault. With Trump, everything was his fault. Like, everything. Even when there was check it out. President Trump had record low unemployment for most of his tenure. Most of his tenure, the country experienced record lows in unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment. People were working. There was record low unemployment, and there were record highs in the stock market. And still, they said our democracy is done. Oh my God! Then we had the pandemic. And then you can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics right now. It's something like the top 12 states. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the top 12 states have the highest unemployment rates. That have the highest unemployment rates are Democratic-run states. So you could go unemployment rate. Unemployment rate by state. unemployment rate for states, you can look. The highest unemployment rates, Hawaii, Nevada, California. Hawaii at 9.3%. I mean, I'm not making this up. The worst numbers are in Democratic-run states. Hawaii from at 9.3%, Nevada 9.2%, California 9%, Colorado 8.4%. These are all Democratic-run states. New York 8.2%, New Mexico 8.1%, Connecticut 8%, DC 7.9%, New Jersey 7.6%, Illinois 7.6%, Michigan 7.5% unemployment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the top states, the 12 highest unemployment rates are run by Democrats. You can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay, Nebraska has the lowest unemployment rate. South Dakota, Iowa, Utah, Kansas, Alabama, North Dakota, Arkansas, Indiana. Those are like 3% unemployment. So 4% unemployment. South Carolina, 4.6%. The highest, Wyoming, 4.8%. The lowest unemployment rates are Republican-run states. And the highest unemployment rates, and also if you look at the New York Times statistics, the greatest number of lives lost, unfortunately, are in Democratic-run states, and the highest per capita rates are in Democratic-run states. How on earth is that Trump's fault? So they blame the economy on Trump. The states that are doing the best in terms of unemployment, where people are working, and in terms of per capita rates and aggregate numbers pertaining to the pandemic, are Republican states. That's a fact. You can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics right now and look at the unemployment. It's unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The top 12 states. The top 12 states that have the worst unemployment rates are all Democratic states, blue states. That's pretty unbelievable. But really quickly, regarding GameStop, this is a viewpoint. Again, I don't want people to lose money. I don't want the SEC to come down on Reddit, and I don't want Reddit to to do anything like to ban that that subreddit. But if you look, the ownership summary, the top holders are Fidelity Management. This is from its website. GameStop Information, Institutional, Vanguard Group, BlackRock Institutional Trust, RC Ventures LLC. Okay, so Senvest Management, Must Asset Management. So these are State Street Global Advisors. These are, and top mutual funds, Fidelity, iShares. So you have Vanguard Extended Market Index Funds. So you have these gigantic money managers, these investment companies that have the money. So like when people say, I don't understand something, and this is with all due respect, when people say, oh, we showed Wall Street a thing or two, these people have the money to wait it out. The company, ladies and gentlemen, is not really doing very well. GameStop reported a net loss of $18.8 million for the third quarter of 2020, ended October 31st, compared to a net loss of $83.4 million during the same period in 2019. While this was an improvement, net sales for the retailer declined to $1 billion, compared to $1.4 billion the year prior. Total sales for the holiday season ended January 2nd, declined 3.1% year over year. Like, here's what I don't understand. There's people saying, well, it was really bad because they tried to short the stock and it went up. Yeah, but they're just going to short the stock. Those same companies are very likely going to short the stock. Now, there's a limit to how high this thing is probably going to go. And theoretically, it could go on and up forever. It could be the next Microsoft or Apple or Google or whatever. Theoretically. So you could lose an infinite amount of money shorting a stock. But what are the chances that that a stock that isn't doing well financially is going to come down from what, $300 it's at right now per share? $347. So it's pumped up and inflated. Gee, what are the chances it's going to go down? I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I definitely don't want people to lose money. This is no investment advice. I'm not giving you investment advice. What I'm saying is, this is Biden's America. You think the SEC isn't going to? You think Reddit and the SEC aren't going to team up against a subreddit that potentially led to this boost in price? I'm just saying, I hope that doesn't happen. But you have to think also, it's not just Fidelity or Vanguard. Like these multi-billion-dollar investment companies and money management companies and mutual fund companies, they don't care if they lose a little money in the short term. If they short a stock, let's say, and the stock goes up, and they have to buy back the stock or short it now and make money when it goes down, if that happens. Because all they would have to do, since one would say, well, one might think this is an inflated number, one might believe that it's going to tank. So a person who perhaps lost, or a gigantic money management firm that lost money, shorting the stock when it was 200 points lower, might short it now at $347. You think Fidelity cares? Or you think Vanguard cares? I think the real issue that I think is lost here is that there are smaller people, smaller investors who maybe don't see things for what they are and might say, I'm going to buy at $300 or $347. I'm going to buy this. Thing's going to go up. There's probably a lot of people like that. Good people, good, wonderful people that just, they'll lose a lot of money, especially in this time where people don't have money to lose. This is a pandemic where people are hurting. So it's just, there's so much money to be lost. And I just don't the stock market is gambling. Generally, it's a lot of gambling. It's not supposed to be gambling. It's supposed to be these educated guesses. And I'm just saying, be careful. Be very, very careful. Okay? Be very careful with that stock. The GameStop, what's happening with GameStop, the SEC, I don't want this to happen, but I can definitely see, because what they did to the Donald subreddit, they will do to any subreddit. So I could see the Securities and Exchange Commission going to Reddit, the company, saying, yeah, you know what? We want information on what the heck happened with that Wall Street subreddit. And we want to know what's going on. And you know what? We even want information on individuals. And Reddit most likely will be like, no problem. Yeah, here's the information. Because there's a lot of, the money to be lost or made by these gigantic firms. That's one thing. That's enough to get the SEC involved potentially, especially if this thing goes up even more, and people potentially lose money. But it's another thing when individuals who perhaps are getting caught up in this, we're sticking it to the man. They might not realize that there's a potential for this to go back down. And, if it goes up to 500 or 600, let's say, you don't think that there's going to be gigantic investment firms shorting it at that price or at this price? I'm not saying that it will happen. I could be wrong. It could be the next Microsoft. It could be the next Apple. Or it could be a catastrophe and a nightmare for a great many good people who shouldn't be losing money. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. There's no investment advice here. I don't see this. I don't see this as a good thing or positive thing in any way, shape, or form. If people say, well, you know what? That happens all the time. It's like it happens with people who can lose the money. These investment companies don't care. They'll make money here, they'll make money there, they'll lose money here, they'll lose money there. They're gigantic. They have enough cash and they have enough equity and leverage and they have enough to cover their losses because they're gigantic money management firms. It's the individuals who get caught up in the hype who are good people who could lose a lot of money. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now to this channel. Thank you so very, very much. President Trump's approval is up, and now you see this kind of mayhem going on in the stock market, and of course it's hush-hush, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just, it's just so much better than Trump's years, right? Media, give me your thoughts.